Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics. Well, here I am, awaiting my little buddy. And where is he? Where are you, Sam? Where are you, mate?
I'm back in Narnia. Drew, look, it's Narnia. I'm back. The wardrobe is back. People not on YouTube. I'm back in my, I suppose, sort of third home, I could call it. Whenever I'm on tour in the Norfolk area, I come and stay with a lovely lady named Sarah. She does theatre digs. And yes, it is affectionately referred to, as most of you probably know by now, as Narnia, because there's a wardrobe behind me for those of you who can't see. But yes, I'm back. I'm back in Narnia. I'm back on tour, loving life. Drew, how are you, mate?
I'm very, very well, mate. I'm on the sofa of dreams talking to me mate who's busy working and enjoying himself. What could be better than that? What could be better, mate?
Exactly. And speaking of being busy, have you been busy? What have you been up to, mate?
I've been doing some writing because we've got some puppet shows coming up at the weekend at the Watermill. And I've got another show coming up this week. It's the 60th birthday of the British Music Hall Society. And Verona and I have been asked to do a spot during a show celebrating their birthday, basically. So I'm doing a little 15-minute spot then. So, yes, I've been learning lines. I've written something for myself and now I've got
Yeah, there's no excuse for not knowing that one then, because you bloody
wrote Not really, no. But I'm looking forward to that. It'll be great fun.
Oh, no, that's excellent. And also, as we mentioned in social media, you've been busy prepping for Halloween, I suppose. I know it's still a month and a half away, but it's quite a big dealio, isn't it, for the old?
Well, it is because we're obviously theming the old Watermill. We're getting that together. We're getting actors together, and we're planning the program. So yeah, it's kind of thinking forward, and at the same time, as we do that, the space, the other side of the space, we will start turning that into Santa's Grotto for Christmas. So we're actually working on one while doing the other, and then the turnaround will happen. So yeah, it's very. I've got a long list of stuff to do in a project book, because if I didn't, I'd be confused. But so far,
have you
working?
Have you got a list, and are you checking it twice, Drew?
Shut up, Sam. What have you been doing? Brilliant. Very well done. I like that.
Oh, well, yeah, very good. It just came to me.
How's it going in your third home in Norfolk and rehearsals? Well, everything going well?
Really, really well, mate. I'm loving every minute. It's really hard work. It's a fairly heavy subject matter again, but done in a sort of unique kind of way. Very important. I would say sort of almost every time I've been up here, I've been doing quite important theatre with quite heavy and meaningful themes. But I could wax lyrical and say, oh, everything's brilliant and it's been going great and I've been perfect and da-da. I could say all that, and people might go, well, you're just saying it because it's you, you egotistical bastard. Not that I think people think of that as me, but it just so happens, mate, that today is a guest episode, and
this is true.
Yes, our guest today might be even better qualified than I to judge how well my rehearsals have been going. Ooh, interesting. Did you notice my light just went off as well?
Yes, I know.
It's plugged in.
That was like a Twilight Zone moment. It's like, where are we going with this? What's going to happen? Boom!
Wow, a dramatic moment. Yeah. I just hope it's not broken. But anyway, we'll ignore the fact that that's happened, and all of a sudden I'm now glowing white almost. So our guest today is a man I know quite well. I've been working with him recently, and he should be able to tell us a bit more. He is a director, a producer, a performer, but he's rather an expert, shall we say, on How's Your Father, which is the show that I'm currently rehearsing and preparing to take on tour. So I reckon we should have a chat with him. But should we do it in a slightly different way to normal?
Sam, make it happen, mate.
How's about this for the going out about a bit more this season? Ladies and gentlemen, meet the wonderful Mr. Simon Floyd.
Yes, Drewling Samantics watchers on YouTube, straight away you'll have noticed something's a little bit different. And those of you listening, I'm about to explain exactly what is different, because today, Drew is where he normally is. But I'm sat with our guest. I'm sat here right now with Mr. Simon Floyd, director extraordinaire, producer, maker of theatrewear. many different roles and ideas. I've just realised I haven't opened my beer. I'm going to do that while we talk. But yes,
Sam, can I just say something, Sam?
Go on.
I mean, I've not met Simon. I know a little bit about him. He's a lovely chap, but you know, the one thing, you don't have to crawl, mate. You've already got the job, okay?
Yeah, I've given him the job, eh? Yeah. Force of habit. No,
I know, mate.
You'd have you believe it, mate. Well, but anyway, so cheers, Simon. Yeah, cheers. Thank you. And cheers to you, Drew.
Cheers. I'm on the mug.
But yes, so I, as said, I am actually sat here with Simon because we're currently on tour, currently doing a show, and this was basically the best way of making this work, really. So, but you guys have not met. So, Drew, this is Simon. Simon, this is Drew.
See you, Drew.
Yeah, two people that I've worked with for a long time, one for not so long, but enjoying both relationships wonderfully.
Good. So. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, it's all right, Sam. You don't owe me any money. You don't have to crawl to me. Simon, it's lovely to meet you, really is. And you know, obviously you're a man of infinite patience and long suffering to put up with Mr. Dunning. But so you're working with Sam, working on a project which we will talk about in more detail in a moment. But tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into what you do, which is incredible in its own.
Okay,
but,
so basically I'm a producer, director and performer, and my shtick is community theatre. I make theatre mostly with amateurs, so I make big community productions. I'm a freelance theatre maker, making professional shows like the one I'm making with Sam, but the most of my work is about making theatre for, with and about the people of Norwich. So I'm very centred on my city. I'm very centred on the heritage of my city and telling stories of my city that galvanise people's beliefs and values and give people a sense of their community and their place and their heritage. So I'm really about making heritage theatre for, with and about the people of Norwich, or as a freelancer for, with and about the people of a certain place. So I've worked in villages making pageants and processions with people just about their village, finding out. We basically do a three-stage process, which is we research something and then we help people to respond to that creatively. And from that creative response, which might be songwriting or creative writing, then we'll make a piece of theatre. So then we realise something. So it's research, response, and then the realisation of a theatre show. So it's always about the product ultimately, but the process gets us there. And at each stage of that process, there's ways of involving people in the making of theatre. So that's what I do. But I also am really interested, and especially interested more so lately, in making small scale, really professional theatre that can be applied in professional contexts. So like the show I'm making with Sam is about dad's role in, dads being dads, and how their meeting of social services or authorities like courts and justice services, how that can be affected by the way that people perceive a father's role and how a father perceives the role of himself. So we're using this piece of theatre to train social workers and family courts professionals to think about the issues around, to develop interest and empathy in the issues that fathers face. So that's the purpose of this piece of theatre, as well as being entertaining. So that's really what I'm about. I'm about working with communities to find and make theatre, whether those are communities of interest or place, and then also making small-scale, tourable, effective applied theatre.
So we've talked a few times, Drew, haven't we, about how theatre is an incredible tool. It goes beyond just being an entertainment medium. Of course, entertainment is the initial purpose of it. Theatre that isn't entertaining is not theatre.
It has to be entertaining. It's not theatre.
But if you can do something entertaining and within it contain a message or a theme or educate or inform
or just provoke, I think.
Absolutely.
I think about the thing. So it has to be entertaining. There's only one rule of theatre. There's a great guy called John Wright. He's a clown teacher. He's still alive. If you ever get a chance to do any clowning with him, he's absolutely brilliant. One rule of theatre, he says. The one rule of theatre: don't be boring. Yeah, if you're boring, it's not theatre, right? You've got to keep the curtain up. You've got to keep the interest. And the thing that the theatre does for me, over film or over any other art form, including music, including anything else, is with theatre, you have that possibility of people leaning right into you. Yeah. Like with film, you can lean right back and still really enjoy it. With music, you can bob around and still really enjoy it. But with theatre, the magic is when the audience becomes still and you suck them in. You know, it's the basic storyteller, isn't it? It's that connection, that intentional space where you have that moment that you can say something. You have the privilege of somebody listening and the glory of the space of the stage. To me, I can't get beyond that magic fact. I don't know why anyone would want to do anything else but make theatre, because I just think that very fact just blows my fucking mind.
Well,
it's a privilege, isn't it? It's you're having that, to all intents and purposes.
Absolute privilege and utter
that privilege. Leaning in. You're having a conversation with someone like everyone's, 10, 300, 1,000 people sitting in a theatre.
Yeah,
they're still having a one-to-one conversation with the performer.
And it's only then. It's only now. It's only then. It's not when it's recorded. Yeah. It's not next. It's not. You can't get it anywhere else but there now. When the air goes blue, when the magic happens. I've done theatre seriously a few times in my life where theatre has properly worked so much you can fucking see it. You can see the magic in the air. Yeah. You can literally feel the blue. It's like electric. You've made that. And that has to happen in a theatre. It can't happen anywhere else because there's a level of attention required in theatre that means that becomes possible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's interesting because you say it can only happen in a theatre. But, and to sort of go, not on a tangent.
I didn't say it could only happen in a theatre because I don't make shows for theatre.
Well, no, exactly.
I make shows for outdoor spaces. I say it can only happen in a theatre context.
In a theatre context. And this is where I was going to go, because not only have you taken theatre and performance to, let's say, conventional places, a lot of your career has taken you to very, very places where perhaps theatre doesn't often go. And I'm going to dive straight in with one. Working in prison.
Yeah, well, I did. I worked in a while ago now, but I worked for quite a few years making theatre with prisoners and with people in drug rehabs. So dealing with some really big issues for people, but also trying to find the fun of it as well, and making sure that both those contacts happen. But I mean, just going back to the venue thing. I mean, I think one of the big we're sitting in a food bank, in a room in a food bank in Mile Cross, which is where we choose to work from, which is a very poor area of Norwich. Nobody else works from here. We choose to work from here because we think theatre should be everyone. But people don't think theatre's for them. And one of the biggest barriers is the venue. Do you know what I mean? They'll come to the Panto. That's about the only place they'll come. But they won't come to anything else. So we have to put it outdoors and say, it's in your park, come, it's free. And we don't care if you piss off halfway through. Yeah. The etiquette of not doing it in a theatre allows access to the theatre. So this is really, really important in my work. It's like not doing things in theatres. I love working in theatres. I fucking love working. I love all the lights and the gadgets and the room and I love it. It makes me salivate. But I know that if I want to get my art out there and make it for everyone, then I have to do it in places that aren't theatres. Yeah. So that's really important. And making theatre in prisons was another thing together. But yeah.
I think you can have.
Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, I think you can have when you're making not site specific is the wrong term, but when you're making theatre for people specific theatre, like I know you did the play about Mile Cross, the event about Mile Cross and what was it? Oh, was it the Great Estate? I mean, the 100 years of that place, you took that piece, created it with the people in the place. Yeah. There is no more, you can't get any more immediate than that. No. And that, I think, gets people excited. That gets people on board. Like you say, if you have to, as a performer or someone who might want to take part, if you feel you have to go somewhere or be in a building, I think that makes people, it doesn't put people's backs up, but it frightens them. It makes them nervous. It makes them go, this is not my space. But
No,
I mean, I took Shakespeare. We went to Feltham Young Offenders with a company called Shakespeare Workout. And we took exercises, scenes and stuff, went to Feltham Young Offenders. And we had a room of 20 guys, ages 15 through to 18, 19. One guy of which subsequently went on to write plays for Radio 4, got himself out of prison and is successful. But there were other guys in that room, and it's like, this is their territory. And if you're going to do, I mean, we did a lot of stuff based on just people talking to each other. And they were going, Shakespeare. And we're going, yeah. But we're in your space. So let's make Shakespeare in this space. Let's talk. Let's put guys that are going to be at loggerheads with each other, or they're sorting shit out. But this is your space. You do it how you would do it, and it got them on. They loved it, and the English teacher, the English lecturer who got us in there, said, "You guys have got to come back because they're on this. They understand this."
Well, this is the thing about theatre. This is the thing about making theatre with people. And this is the non-professional theatre I'm talking. Well, I mean, it's also with the professional theatre. We're doing it right now. We've got an ensemble act cast, and we're fucking creating this show together, aren't we? Really, but those guys, they have an opportunity, like anyone in this community context. They have an opportunity to step over a line and use everything they've got. Not just their head, but their body and their voice. And their eyes and their passions and their beliefs and their movement and their quirk and their conflicts and their interests, and everything has to come into the space, to make something happen. And therefore, the benefit, and also the other side of the same coin, is the benefit then of actually going and performing something, that you've made, that you've thought about, that you've fashioned with your whole body and your whole mind, and then you perform it. It's like the song of the performance, whatever that is. It's more therapeutic than, like, when we made theatre with prisoners, after the show, these big strapping armed robbers were like 8-year-old kids, literally jumping around with joy, around with the joy of having done it. And the joy of having brought people in from the out. I don't think you could do it now in a prison because the prison service is in such a state now. That's another thing we go. But there was enough staff at that point when I was doing that to bring people in from the village. Like, we'd bring the old dears in from the village where the prison was, and they'd all come in their sort of blue rinses and their handbags and say, "Oh, lovely," And these guys would be like, absolutely made up. I mean, 100% made up.
It's opportunity, isn't it? And I think we've also talked before about certain areas not having access to theatre, and we've talked a lot recently about,
but they don't want it. They don't know they need it. A lot of the time, they don't know they need it.
But there's also the financial side, and if you're talking about we're in a not a poor area, but a less wealthy area here where we're producing this, and we've talked before how, particularly things like the West End, people are being priced out. The normal man, the common man, which is a big link for you, is being priced out because theatre is becoming this almost hierarchical sort of thing where only certain people can access it.
The god of commerce, which is absolutely my argument. There is an argument to say if theatre isn't commercial, it's not, and it can't stand on its own 2 feet, then it shouldn't be made. But I argue utterly against that because health costs money, education costs money, culture costs money. These things are what make us who we are. We don't know what's going to be the next West End hit just because it doesn't hit a vibe of a certain time and fly. Let's make some failures. We've got to be able to fail. We've got to be able to fail to make good art. And you're absolutely right. The theatre these days is either fully subsidised, which I am. I go for funding. I find funding. I'm fully subsidised. I have to find my money elsewhere if I want everything I do to be free. Or the complete commercial theatre where the total opposite is true. There's not a lot in the middle. There's not a lot of seeding stuff. There's not a lot of experimenting. There's not a lot of kind of allowing people to be. Well, the Arts Council do what they can, but that's another thing altogether.
Well, they're limited by the government.
They're limited, and they're also being interfered with a lot more than they used to be. The political agendas are much more present in how the Arts Council are being asked to do things, like the levelling up money, for example, which.
I do think the Arts Council has been muzzled to a degree. I think I don't think it's being. I don't think it's being censored per se, but it is being muzzled. You're pulling on the reins and going, I don't think we want to go there, but we'll give you money for this, this, and this. And there's the degree of the Arts Council having to go, okay, well, if we want that, we can't have that, And it's like, actually, I think we could have all of it.
I think that's right. I think
it's sensible.
I don't know if I'd use the word muzzled. I think I'd use the word kind of sort of, I don't know, cajoled, nudged, made.
Okay.
I don't know if it's muzzled, because I don't think the Tories or the powers that be, they're clever enough. They're not going to muzzle it exactly, but they are going to try and shift it and push it in a new direction, and there's a resistance there. Part of the problem with the Arts Council, there's two big problems with the Arts Council. One is, in its DNA, it is a high art organisation. It should be funding the best things. It should be funding the Philharmonic, the National Theatre, this. The Arts Council was set up as an exclusive thing to fund the best, and ever since, it's always been in its DNA. So if you're doing what I'm doing, trying to get Arts Council funds, up to the point where it's got its new strategy, which is everybody needs to be creative. It was quite hard to convince them that what I was doing had a different kind of value. I had to keep constantly proving quality, but I'm saying my quality is in my engagement, and my quality is in the work that we're working together and how far these people have come. That's quality. So that used to be a problem with the Arts Council. It's less so now because of their own strategy. The other problem, the big problem with the Arts Council, apart from being top heavy and loads of ridiculous posts being created where the money isn't actually hitting the ground, and that's true of any bureaucratic organisation. But the problem is that they're the only funder, really. They're the only funder of the arts. I get a lot. I've had hardly any money out of the Arts Council for the common lot, my company. I've had a lot of money as a personal individual. This is Arts Council funded. This project.
Yeah.
But as a theatre maker, I've had a few grants. But I can't really go anywhere else as an individual. I mean, I could go as a charity or a not-for-profit and get money out of the Heritage Lottery Fund and the places where we do get things. But I can't, as an individual, go anywhere else and get funding for my art if I haven't got the money to do it out of personal means. I have to go to the Arts Council, and that's a problem. That's the only show in town, and they have this DNA of being elitist, and they're trying to show. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
it's kind of, we need a better ecology.
Yeah.
And there's also huge amounts of competition.
There's massive amounts of competition.
Yeah, there's so much sort of pile driving into one small area that, yes, as you say, they can be quite elitist and they're looking at only the top things. But equally, even if they were able to spread further, they are only one institution, one element.
There's only one culture within that. And then the Arts Council is the Arts Council is the Arts Council. You think, well, fucking hell, everyone's having a go at the Arts Council. They're not that bad. They're doing their best. They're having a decent strategy, in my view, now. But fuck's sake, let's go back to the days when the local authorities had arts officers.
Yeah.
I remember the days when my mates went to drama school. I remember saying, "Oh, isn't it terrible? There's only 6 grants in the county for people to go to drama school and have all their board and lodgings paid in a year. Just 6. I mean, 1 would be a fucking miracle now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like we've come a long way away from funding the arts as a thing that we need. We think it's a commodity. It's fucking tourism. It's not fucking tourism. It's life.
Yeah.
And
then that links back to why the podcast started and what we've talked about numerous times, and we're not going to go over it because we do a lot, but how important arts are in general and how being forgotten during the times of the unwelcome guest, as we refer to it, because the government almost sort of went, well, your job is a hobby, like you have fun, therefore it can't be important.
No, but it can't be serious. It can't have any value because it's just it's trickery.
But
so there's nothing that makes me more angry than that, because I spent, going back to this conversation about this magic space that we all hold and the leaning in. Theatre properly fucking changes you. It can properly bring you somewhere really, really different and really change what you think in the moment, and that can last you as an echo for the rest of your life if you get theatre right. It genuinely changes people. It changes. We've changed. I know we've done this. We've changed the perception of certain things in this city. So we made a really big show about all the incomers in the city straight after the Brexit vote, for example. And, because Norwich is founded on incomers. And we made that solid for people in a big free show, 5,000 people saw. We did a big cabaret about incomers. Refugees welcome here. Norwich was a big Remain city. And that reaffirmed, and I know we had dropped a bit of
a bit of colour of the ink in the water and just change the hue of things a bit in the mindset of the city, you know, it changes things, and it can, and that's why I do it. And that's what winds me up when people say it's just nothing. And it's everything.
It just keeps reinforcing the fact that theatre is such a powerful medium. But what I'm going to do is spin it slightly the other way. Well, not the other way.
Am I rolling on?
No, not at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So we're talking about arts funding and how there's limitations and how it's difficult. But fortunately, and a bit of shameless promotion coming up, I'm sure you don't mind. Fortunately, this project we're currently working on.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. How's your father? And you've obviously given a fantastic intro to it. It's about dads, the support they get, or I should say the lack of support they get.
But it's about their experience of authority.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what, and I sort of obviously know some of the answers to these, but we want to extend it out to Drew, who knows little bits, and other people's out there. What was the power behind this particular show? Why this as a theme?
Well, okay, there's two answers to that. Well, firstly, the first thing to say is about my own kind of development, I guess, in terms of, since we have a director on our board who's an academic, and she's just utterly brilliant. And the show I was talking about, the Incomers show, she helped us research that. So we started to realise the value of the academic. Yeah, no, I'm completely non-academic. I'm not unintelligent, but I just don't want to sit and write an essay. I'm too ADHD for that stuff. You know, but I really love academics, because you can program them and they give you an answer.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You know, it's just that. And they love me because I'm saying, let's make something of your research. We can put that on the stage. And they go, really? Yeah. So it's kind of a lovely marriage. So the first thing to say is, it's about working with academics. So then I got approached by Men's Craft as a theatre maker, which is a local charity working with men and developing men's groups and working with perpetrators of domestic violence. And they said, we'd like to make a show about a man's issue, right? I made one suggestion, which they didn't go for. And then I said, well, what about dad? Oh, I can't remember who said, but somebody said, you know, what about fatherhood? That's a really important question. And then I said, well, we need to find the academic. If you find the academic, I'll work with you. Yeah. We went and found the academic, who was a brilliant academic at UEA. And so it was her research that led to us exploring, you know, the devising process. Her research was the research part. We also talked to a few dads in the groups that they were, that's what led to it, really, is that we found this just marriage with this brilliant academic, who also turns out to be a brilliant songwriter.
Dr. Georgia Phillips, just Dr. Georgia Phillips. Yeah, we're not gonna not name drop. We're all right with name dropping when it comes to that.
No, she's great. She's great. She's brilliant. She's in the School of Social Work. She trains social workers.
But as you say, also great at writing songs and has an eye for theatre as well.
Songs are great in the show.
And then on top of that, we're lucky enough to have people in the cast and people in the production team who work for Dad's charity.
Well, yeah, there was a partnership then. It became a partnership between the university, us as the common law, Dad, Men's Craft, the original sort of originator of the thought that we might make some theatre, and then Men's Craft, because Chris, who's in the show, he's a really good friend of mine, but he's also a fantastic performer.
Yeah.
And he also, for a living, runs men's groups on behalf of social services, children's services for the county council.
So he's part of Dad's Matter.
He's part of what's called Dad's Matter. So that became another kind of part of the partnership. It's a four-way partnership.
Yeah. So it's this thing that's sort of born out of necessity for awareness and promotion and provoking, as you say, but
it's
equally
just a very interesting subject, isn't it?
100%, yeah. And it's I can say it has been enormously challenging, myself not a father, to put myself in the shoes of these people.
You know it today, man.
Oh, thank you. See, this is the whole point of this episode. I don't care what you say. I'm just waiting for that.
Steve, you feel Steve, though, don't you?
So
character, you just feel him.
I play a character called Steve who
party boy. He's party boy. He loves himself.
He's a lad, and he becomes a dad unexpectedly, and he steps up, but perhaps has the wrong way of going about.
Well, he steps up to his kids, but he lets his partner go.
Yeah,
that's what happens. So basically,
but he is just one of four main characters in the show. His story, and all four stories go in very different directions, all based on
true stories or pieced
amalgamation
together.
of true stories.
So not
based on the research, based on something that could be true today.
Exactly. That's a quote of a line. That's why he's gone for it, because he's remembered one of the lines he's written, which is more than a lot of us have been doing. But it's fine.
Oh, you're doing all right.
But yeah, so
first week,
and genuinely, it's a privilege to be on the show, to have to be afforded to be a collaborator. Yes, I'm an actor. Yes, I'm being employed as an actor, but. And I'm lucky.
Well, it's not my style just to say, you're an actor, you stand over there. It's like more like, okay, you're part of the team. This is what we're trying to get across. How do we do it?
Yeah, and actually, we've talked about that as well before, Drew, haven't we? How you sometimes you'll go along to something and there'll be a director and they'll be like, do this. No, you've not done what I've said exactly as I said it, to the word, to the syllable, to the whatever. Do it again, and they've got this solid idea, and what they want is what comes out, which is good for quick turnaround, I guess, and good for them nailing a certain thing. But equally,
it's a quick turnaround, but
it's.
But I just think. I mean,
what do you prefer, Drew? What do you prefer? How do you prefer your directors to be?
I mean, I've worked with those directors. I've worked with directors, and I'm prepared to sit and take a piece of direction if you justify it to me and you go this, when I go, actually that works. And there are some directors that are so good that will convey an idea and go, well, okay, I've read the play, I've read the piece, all right, whatever. And actually, yeah, we're having a conversation but there are also the directors I really like are those who go, right, here we are, we've got the piece, we're going, and then you go, hang on, what if? And they go, let me listen to the what if. The what if happens. Go, okay, let's try. And then they go, I mean, I did a piece of work, and Sam knows about it, a couple of years back, called Fighting Irish, and we sat with the writer in the room, and he had about 3.5 hour script. We condensed it down to an hour, hour and 25. And all the time, the director was saying, fabulous director called Corey Campbell. Big shout out to him because he's amazing. His attitude was keep playing. Don't stop playing. He said, I don't care if you're playing right up to the last minute of the last night. Something will happen. And there was always a way around. And he would go, okay, guys, we've got a problem. Or we've got something we need to take a direction here. And so that was inspiring, because I used to go home every night and I go back to my digs and sit there and then put everything in. Do my work, have a think. And it was, and he'd come in the next day and someone would go, those 11 pages, could we have those 2 lines back? Whatever. Because and he would go, why? Or we'd all go, why? We would, that was collaborative. That was exciting.
We're getting into some of the minutiae with this, although it's a very choreographed show. It's an incredibly quick moving show. But yeah, we are getting into those kind of nuances with this to some extent. And so Sam won't mind me telling you his victory today. So we've got a woman in the cast who is a wonderful actress. I mean, she's brilliant. Harry, you want to do shout outs? I'm shouting out to Hattie Ashton. She's a fantastic actress and a wonderful team player. And she's always trying to question the script and get a little change. She won 2 full stops out of me yesterday. I said, okay, that's not a full stop, that's a comma. Right, I get you. Yeah, because I'm a writer as well, so I like, I know, especially this one, I know how I want it because I wrote it. I can see the rhythm of it, which is why it's so nice to move into a professional cast from an amateur cast, because you can be much more specific about what you want. But what I'm trying to say is, well, we can tell the story. There's a line in the play where Steve is like talking about his goldfish, and he's a Chelsea fan. He says that one's Rude and that one's Hullet. Yeah. And Sam said, why can't it be that one's Didier and that one's Drogba? Right. And I had to go, yeah, okay, that's better. So it's kind of complete within 10 minutes, and it happened again, didn't it? So within 10 minutes, you'd rewritten 2 lines of the play. And
I can retire.
Hattie was completely appalled.
It's taken that because she worked on the project last time.
Yeah,
she's had years.
I edited the script with Hattie. I went through the script with Hattie and edited it. Yeah. That was one of her jobs. So,
and I've come in and fucked the whole thing up. But it's all right.
Yeah, because now he thinks he's a genius. He's happy, you see.
It doesn't take very much to be frank, Simon. You're all right with him. When they say this, how's your father? It's going to tour. where are you taking it? I presume it's not going to theatres per se.
Yeah, I'm not particularly interested in touring theatre venues, as you might have guessed, but it is going to some public spaces. It's going there's going to be we're going to do 4 or 5 public shows.
5 we're doing,
So we're doing 3 libraries. We're doing the Norwich Arts Centre, always supportive of us. Brilliant. Shout out to them. Norwich Arts Centre on the 5th, and then Great Yarmouth Library on the 6th, and then Bury, somewhere in Bury.
Bury St Edmunds.
The Hunters Club on the 18th, and the Public Library in Lowestoft on the 19th, and then Chancery Library in Ipswich on the 2nd of November. But there's also 7 or 8 kind of shows to sort of professional audiences. We're going to a national social work conference with it and that sort of thing. So
now the one I was going to say is we're doing a live stream, aren't we?
Oh, we are doing a live stream,
which you're terrified of because you hate technology and stuff.
On the wrong side of the line.
And once we've confirmed full details on all that, we'll get it out there.
Yeah. If you plug the live stream, that'd be great.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Absolutely, I'm in it. Of course I can.
But yeah, forget. Sorry, actors. This is quite an interesting thing, isn't it? This is what Sam brings up for me, because I work with amateur actors most of the time, right? I've not many times have I worked with a person who just wants to act. You're not interested in directing. Don't want to direct. You said that to me yesterday. I'm not a director. I'm an actor, and I think you must be either psychotic or masochistic just to want to be an actor. You know, I'm your robot. I will do what you tell me. What do you want me to do? I mean, it's like, what? I really admire the way that you guys go out and find your work. I know the fuck I couldn't do it.
He's a nutter because he directs and acts at the same time.
That
is crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
But I've done that, but I don't like doing it.
No.
Yeah.
And do you know,
I'm doing less and less of it as I get older.
Wait, what? Sorry, you what? Start again.
I said I'm doing less and less of that as I get older.
Well,
the whole idea of taking a script, directing, and acting has become slightly less.
When none of us Kenneth Branagh here, you know what I mean? I mean, it's like, and even if we were, that would be a little bit insufferable, perhaps. But you know, I always take a part because I love to perform in the shows. But what I happen to do is I always take a little part, like a vignette or kind of cameo. But no matter what I do, I always phone it in because I wait till the very last minute and think, oh, fuck, what am I doing? And then I phone the performance in. Every time I hate myself for it because I'm directing. So I ought to just admit I'm actually a director, not a performer. And that's what I am, you know.
But you have your Hitchcock moment, don't you?
Yeah, I do like to have my Hitchcock moment. It's vanity, I guess. But it's not vanity. It's because I want to be up there. You know, I love to sing. You know.
And for anyone under 50, unlike these fuckers, Quentin Tarantino is probably a better comparison because he always puts himself in stuff, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah, but he always puts himself in major parts. Hitchcock always hid his performance. It was tiny.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Hitchcock was once just a silhouette behind a door.
Really? Yeah. He once walked across.
Yeah. No, that won't work.
Right. I've got the privilege of working with you at the moment, and you're probably sick of the sight of me.
I'm not at all.
There's a
what you forget is most of my fucking job is getting to the point where I can actually get into a rehearsal room. So, you know, doing what I do, I don't get hired as a director and do other people's work. I make my own work. So I have to kind of get the funding, convince everybody it's a good idea, maneuver everybody to the point where I can actually direct something. Yeah. So these 2 weeks are delight for me because I'm in the elephant.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Because just remember there's 3 weeks.
There's not 3 weeks.
2.5.
There's only a week and a bit left.
Oh yeah, but we've done
it. Yeah.
It's gone that.
Well, last week I was making a lantern procession with kids with the year 6s in the Marcross Primary. I was doing that at the same time as starting rehearsals, and my head was split.
Yeah.
So this week I feel like
we're on it.
We're on it. Yeah.
So, but what I was going to say is, we know we're limited on time, and as much as I warned you about it, and I know you're dreading it, but we always try, Drew and I, to get a guest to tell us an anecdote, funny story, something about what they've done in the industry or in the performance world, and something that they sort of dine out on. You must name.
There is a dine out story.
Go on then.
There's definitely a dine out story. So, it's hard to tell a story cold, but a director's journey from naivety, I guess. So this was maybe 1999, maybe 25 years ago. 25, 26.
I was 10.
Yeah. And I was working, I was in my late 20s. I was working as a an expressive arts course leader in the prison. And it's very hard to make shows in the prison because you've only got men, and the men you have got don't want to play women. So it's like you have to play these. You have to find these roles that it stretches them, but it's both acceptable in terms of the gender politics, or at least at that time. So let's put masks on them, by the way. They go mad then. But that was a revelation as well. So anyway, I hit on this idea of doing the story of Oliver. I thought, great, Oliver, brilliant. Yeah, Oliver, because it's all men and they can be car thieves and crack addicts instead of pickpockets. And
so I didn't have to do any acting.
We can update it, and it's all males, and there's Fagin, and there's only Nancy. We've got one prison officer who's going to be a female who's going to be in it, and that's going to be good. We have that one female. Thought, brilliant, we'll update Oliver and we'll do our own version of Oliver. Great idea. Who's going to be Fagin? So at that time, Reggie Cray was in the fucking prison. So, yeah, I don't know if I should broadcast this story, but anyway, I thought, very naive. Let's get Reggie Cray to play Fagin. Yeah. That'll be something else. So I had a bunch of keys, you could go anywhere in the prison, I went anywhere. So I went down the wing, found him. Long story short, really. Very long story short, there's a lot more details to this story that probably aren't broadcastable. But anyway, he said, I can't do that. Boy, I can't do that. Just imagine what would happen if the papers get hold of it. I can't do that. They won't let me do that. But like, come on, think about it. I said, oh, no. I thought, what a twat I was, Mm. But anyway, he gave me his book of poetry to read. So he said, take that away. Have a look. Tell me what you think. So I took this poetry away. And it's just the most appalling poetry. It was the most appalling poetry I've ever read. I do remember the first line of one of the poems I opened up was, blue sky is blue today. It was this wooden poetry, it's awful. Wow. So I had to pass it back to him. Yeah. I had to then pass it back to him, right? So this was my dilemma. I thought, me being me, I'm not going to go back to him and go, to some nasty gangster, because he wasn't a nice man. Like I say, there's details I didn't tell you. And I took the poetry back to him and thought, I can't go back to him and go, Reggie, your poetry is shit, give it up, because that's exactly what I wanted to do.
Well, you wouldn't be here now, would you?
No, I might not be. But at the same time, I couldn't go back and say, lovely poetry, but go, wow, amazing, thanks for that. I'm so amazed. I love the one, especially about the blue sky beams. But, do you know what I mean? I can't do that. So I just went over and sort of found one of his little boys and said, give it back to Reggie, would you? And then I was in the exercise yard about a week later, and he just came for me, mate. He was just, he pinned me up against the wall, tiny little bloke. He pinned, oh, you little bastard. So that my dine out story for you is I got threatened by one of the Cray twins before they died.
Wow.
How did that go?
Do you know, I mean, Drew, we always say, how are we going to follow that? Genuinely. How are we going to wow.
I like that. No.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say goodbye because I'm going to see you in the morning. Yeah, but it genuinely has been a pleasure to have you in this format.
I've enjoyed it because it's very rare I get a chance to go and just talk. I feel about it.
I like. We love a bit of blah. So yeah. Thank you for
that. You've let me go blah for ages, and you haven't done any blah yourself, really.
No, our followers and listeners and subscribers get that next week, don't they? Basically?
Oh, you get your own.
Yeah. We blare in between, so that's fine. But no, mate. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Look at
that. We're just handshake and everything, and now we're going to go back to the real sort of like Drewling Samantics world, where all of a sudden it'll just be me and Drew, and it'll all be very weird, but so it's been a pleasure, mate. Thank you so much.
No, I've enjoyed it. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Simon. Bless you, mate.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, all I can say is, Sam, I mean, you were sat very close to the man, and I'm just impressed that you weren't blown away. What energy Simon brings! What absolute energy he brings!
And he's like that from the first minute to the last minute of every rehearsal. So passionate about what he does, so informed on the subject matter we're covering, because he's done so much research and has been so involved in these things. And I think when you listen to what he talks about and the projects he's been involved in and the things he's done, that is because of his passion. He wants to do the best possible job with every single thing he does, whether that's as a performer, as a director, as a producer. He goes above and beyond, and it's been eye-opening and exhausting, but in a good way, rehearsal process so far, because he just goes so in depth into certain things and looks beyond and sees these things that you go, fucking hell, I had no idea. Like I wouldn't even consider that, but now it's there. Like yeah, absolutely. So just a very,
it's incredible integrity and incredible. He really takes responsibility for it, doesn't he? I mean, he really goes, "We're going to do this, and we're going to do this." And I just imagine he's just you get swept along in that energy and passion.
Yeah, and off on many tangents, as was also quite clear. We go all over the place, but I think the mantra that I get most from him is, if a job is worth doing, it's worth doing properly, but above and beyond properly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's just the energy he gives off that you saw there is the energy you get in the rehearsal room. So yeah, I'm incredibly honored to be part of this project, and very lucky to be working with him, and looking forward to what else it's going to bring. So if anyone does want to grace us with your presence and come and watch one of the shows, Simon gave the details earlier, but there will also be in some links, so check out those links. The details of the live stream will come soon as well, if you don't happen to be in Norfolk or Suffolk. But this is not all about just promoting a show that I happen to be in. Please do check out Simon's other work and get involved in some of those charities that he's mentioned if you can, because everything he does is for a good cause, whether that be for a charity on a bigger scale, or because the subject matter is hugely important and something that we need to be talking about and focusing on. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to him outside of rehearsals as well in this sort of medium, and to hear one of the most mental stories as well. Like,
yes, that's being put up against the wall by one of the Cray brothers, and that's by Reggie Cray. That's kind of
I don't think many will be able to talk about similar things as that. But
no, that's a one-off, isn't it? One-off, mate.
Yes, and for those eagle-eyed, I'm just going to put this out there before you berate me for it, because I know you probably were going to, so I'm going to get in there first.
Well, the shirt, Sam, the shirt.
exactly. See, I read your mind.
What's the matter with you?
I was at rehearsal. We literally just finished. Obviously, I'm back, so we're able to record this little bit afterwards. But yeah, I didn't want to get it sweaty. I've got my shirt on now. We're all good. So yeah, didn't want to do any damage to the.
I know what it's like. I know what it's like when you're on tour. Don't worry, mate. I know what it's like.
But I'm just going to prove one small thing. I did manage to keep hold of the beer, so that's still going.
I believe that. Yes, mate. Yeah. Brilliant.
Well, there we go.
Stuff.
So a fantastic opportunity and a brilliant guest. So thank you again, Simon, for coming on the show. So we're back to a bit of normality next week, though. Although actually, I'll probably still be here. I don't think I've got we're full week of rehearsals next week, so I may have to be in Narnia next week for the episode. I'm afraid, ladies and gents.
It's absolutely fine by me, mate. As long as you're here and you're there and I'm here, that's the right way.
I'll be here.
Yeah, we'll be
be there.
We'll be here.
Anyone else, you be where you are when you normally watch us, listen to us, do whatever. And we'll grab another beer, or in your case, you're off the beers these days. We're going to get you back on it.
I'll be back on. Don't worry, man. I'm just enjoying that. Well, I've actually laid off the beer for extra time because I'm just trying to lose a little bit of weight. So to trim up for Christmas. That long run.
Now, and this is very off topic, but it's not because you just brought it up. But I just want to point out a very small matter. So you're doing Christmas Grotto this year. You're not in Panto, are you?
No.
Who do you play Christmas in the Grotto? Famous sort of figure, like recognisable bloke? Is it at all?
But me?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might. I mean, it takes an awful lot of padding and makeup. What more can I say?
Well, this was my point. You're trying to lose weight. Fuck it, go for it. Then you won't need the padding. You could.
Mate, it's down to keeping fit. It's a big long run.
No, so I'm not having it because genius, mate. You can buy chocolate and sweets and cakes and God knows what else. Basically, pure sugar ice creams and You can write it off as tax because if you're putting on the weight to be Santa, it's all tax free. It's great. It's expensive.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. I think I see a plan ahead, mate. I think you might be right there. Yeah.
So next week, Drew's going to be drinking pure treacle, not beer or tea. He's going to bottles of sugared water and everything, full fat milk with 12 blocks of Nesquik and other milkshakes. Other brands are available. We'll get on it. We'll work it out. We will double your weight by the end of this season.
I like the sound of that. I really do.
Yeah. And on that note, we should probably say goodbye, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should probably do that, mate. Yeah, I'll go and have a cream cake.
Yeah, or 4. Ladies and gents, thank you as always for tuning in. We will see you next week where I'll still be here and Drew might be massively fat. Who knows? Take it easy.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.